As a kid, I met Ice-T when I was 10 years old. Well, he would hang out at Angeles Mesa. So when we ended up, my birth mother moved to 3rd Avenue, first person I met, people were like, yo, you look like Ice-T. And he had a little clique called the Mesa Bowl Hustlers. And you had Cousin Kerry, who just got shot with Nipsey. He would be there. You'd have Big Casper, Kevin, rest in peace. You'd have Big Bone. He ain't gonna pussy down to you. He was a booster. He would go in and boost Monet chains. Sure, I just threw you all for a fucking loop. But Monet chain was like fake Pretendo weed. It looked gold, but it was not gold. It was called Monet. Oh yeah, nah, he was in the hood. Gangbanger? No. Drug dealer? No. Pimp? No. At 51, I'm not gonna sit here and tell a lie. Ice was a opportunist, and if breakdancer was in, that nigga putting on a bandana and some kulaks, you know? And he would just kind of always take me under his wing, and my thing was, I was in selling dope and gangbanging. I would go back and forth to jail. He could always tell I would get out of jail because I'd come home a little bit bigger. And around 98 when I came home, his producer was SLJ. And I came home and I had a little bit of money and I started buying cars. Me and SLJ grew up together. He was Ice-T's DJ. And I had I don't know what the fucking car it was, but SLJ wanted it. He was like, well, come by the house. Ice-T lives up in Hollywood Hills now, and he'd love to see you. And I was selling the car for $3,500. And I walk in, I've known Darlene since his ex, Darlene, Lil Ice's mom, since we're all kids. You know, I dated her cousin. And I walk in, and Ice was like, nah, I'm like 210. One in, 165. I came out 209, 210. And Ice was like, damn. And always had a raspy voice, but then, you know, always had the long hair. And he's like, he writes me the check, and he's like, what are you gonna get into? I was like, I don't know. I was thinking about going to barber school, you know.
So you are thinking,
Yeah. Clothing store's gone. You
don't want something?
No. I'm living at my ex-wife's parents' house, and he's like, well, I got Henji and Evil E, his DJ, and Henry Garcia. They got a rap album coming out. Go out on the road with them. Just be, muscle. All right.
Learn the game.
Yeah. Because I wasn't thinking about no rapping.
Yeah.
You know, he would always ask me, you should try rapping. Fuck that. The niggas you hang with look broke. You didn't impress me if you had a BMW and you lived at home with your parents. You just had a nice car with payments. So I go out on the road with Henji and Evil E. And by the 4th date, Evil had to go out with Ice. They had this song called Second Sastiando and Marata Linda. So I spoke Spanish. Hen was like, yo, do the song with me. And it was us, Lighter Shade of Brown, Mellow Man Ace, Cypress Hill. Pulling my ponytail off and letting my hair go. And, I had that new, fresh, light skin muscle, you know what I mean? And I'm singing the song in Spanish, and I'm like,
this is the shit.
Yo. And we're flying back. We had a show. It was called The Gavin in Frisco. And and I remember there was a second show I had. Twista was there. Back then he was called MC Twista. Naughty by Nature, Kid and Play, and it happened again. But that night, I ended up getting into it with DJ Quick, because that gangbanging in me was still on some six, and Hen was like, bro, let that shit go. And we get back, and I remember he gave me my check. And it was like, it was like $9,000 for 7 dates or something like that. And I'm like, now in my head, $9,000 is a day's worth of work. But I just got $9,000 and banged bitches and came home with clothing. We had cross-color clothing, everything. And I'm like, yo. And I wasn't gonna wear the cross-color clothing because the shit was kind of gay to me. All I wore was Dickies and puff jackets. And and the Carhartt jackets, but I was like, got boxes of this colorblind shit. And I'm like, yo, I'm selling this. So in the end, I had like 15 grand worth of everything. And Ice-T comes over, and he's like, so what do you think? And I'm like, oh, he's like, well, you know, why don't you start writing some songs? I still at the house in Palmdale. We did, because I paid for it.
Yeah.
The insurance was $800 every 6 months. The tax.
Property.
Yeah. And I remember my first rhyme, I came back like a week later, and my first rhyme, which I know still to this day, what people don't know about me, I don't know how to count bars. I've just always had this fucked up, you have to say when to stop. It was like my days of fighting. You had to let me know. I didn't know when there was, yeah. And I remember I sat down in the room and I had this yellow paper. And I said, you like the dope rhythm I gave you, crave for the lyrical bass, but be on your best behavior. Because once a step to sit, there's nothing left except a hole from ripping out your chest. I snatch your ass through your mouth crack, so now you a dirty little shit talking spot on the map. A 38 slugs pointed at the back of your dome, and when it hits, your grill will be chrome. I use your grin for the rims on my brome. And if I ever catch Exhibit at home alone, I do him like Buddha, hanging from my crib. I just kept going. And Ice was like, hey, trust me, it was still going. I was like dissing every nigga. He was like, I was like,
So you did 4 songs.
but I did like,
One word.
yeah, like Kevin Hart, he goes, 27 bars, you know. And Ice went, okay, well, hold on. And niggas were like, he's like, where's the hook at? Well, what's the hook, cuz? He's like, you know, the song, the part you repeat to, I was gonna get you that. And he goes, no, you have to. Because in my mind, I'm not thinking it's a 3-minute song on the radio.
You're just trying, yeah, you're showing it right here.
And he ended up hooking me up, my man Bronx Style Bob.
But he saw you could write lyrics, so now it's just a matter of structure.
And he set me down because he knew I got back, here's the truth, I got back into the dope game. Like with that money I got from touring, I got right back in the dope game. And he took me down and got me a deal at, no, Warner, Warner Electric Atlantic.
Oh,
yeah. And he got me a deal there, and they matched.
Which is a huge.
I had 75 grand, and they matched my 75 grand.
Oh wow!
And
so you turned 9,000 into 75
in a matter of a month,
and then got put in a position to be able to be funding your own deal to some degree with a huge major with Ice-T co-signing.
Ice-T and my man Henry Black Butler. Remember that name we talked about? Henchman. And they took me to Loud first. Steve Rifkin offered me like 50 grand. I'm like, nigga, I got 50 grand. Then they took me to WIA and they said, we're doing a 50-50 deal and we'll match you. And they said, if you do this, we'll do this for you, your video, your whole get down. And I said, I just want a one-off and I want no recoupment. I want you to earn $1 off every 12. Because the CD back then, wholesale was $12 because the CD sold for $18.99. And a cassette sold for $7.99 or whatever. And I did the deal with WIA. And Henry Black Butler got me a side deal with Steve Lobel with Warlock and MC Serch. So I had WIA as my distributor, and I had Warlock who also put up another 100 grand with MC Serch from Third Base.
Okay, now so we can get some highlights, so we can get you some heavy views here.
Yeah.
Take us to that. So what was this? Tell us the Mizza thing. So what were you trying to do? Like, were you trying to get airplay for your own song at that point?
Yeah.
So tell us that.
I didn't know. So this producer by the name of Super Sacco, who's a huge, you type in Super Sacco, biggest Armenian producer. And he used to produce with another guy. Well, they all worked at this studio called Back Room in Glendale. I'd have to be a liar if I could tell you how I ended up at Back Room. I don't remember. It was in Glendale. And remember the pop singer Tiffany, Brian McKnight, Bone, they all recorded there. I'm at that halfway house. All this goes in line, and I'm working on the album, and I'm recording at Studio 51 on Orange and Santa Monica Boulevard. It was a takeoff Studio 56. And Sacco is interning at Back Room. The book Monster has been hitting Cody talks about me in that book. Crazy Bone, who's a huge historian. Oh yeah, says Casper. And Crazy Bone, who's a huge gangbanger historian, is like, yo, this is the same to Sacco. He's like, Sacco's like, God.
How did you feel your personal music career was?
I feel that the great Stan Shepard said, your career you will ruin your career and it'll end soon. Because I never, to this day, remember that little rap that I wrote, that I rapped? That's the only rap I've ever written in my life. Other than that, turn on a beat. And I don't have a book of rhymes. Yeah. Turn on a beat. Nobody's ever written for me. I would listen to a beat. So I took rap as serious, bless you, I took rap as serious as that moment. But when those checks would come in and they would say, well, you got to reinvest this back into I was already starting to buy catalog. There was a guy by the name of something Kennedy out of the Bay.
Oh, so you made some money, and then instead of trying to really, because you didn't have the love for it.
No.
You said, but hey, I've learned the business end. Let me.
I started buying catalog. I remember.
Tell the viewer, what's catalog?
Catalog is music from other artists.
That's old.
But new now. So I own Bruno Mars.
Stuff that didn't come, that was like
there's a broke artist that's now good now. I own Whitney Houston songs. I own Barbara Streisand. Do you hear the name? Barbara Streisand. I own a shitload of Rick Ross, a ton of Rick Ross. But I've got a catalog of Bruno Mars that I could retire off of. But I'll tell you when I knew that I was nice on the mic. I was in Umeå, Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden, on tour with me, Nas, Sean Paul, and Pharrell. And all those names were somebody's. I was just a dude. They were like, yo, who's this dude? It was like the dude to set up the boxing fight. Like, yo, this nigga might, And we're in a studio called Swing-a-Ling. And Slash from Guns N' Roses is there. And he thinks DMX is next door. Because he just hears the voice. No, it's me. And I do a song called I Can't Stop with Slash. That made me my first $1 million. You've never heard this song. I have a song with Duff. Well, remember, our booking agent was Jamie Adler. Who's Jamie Adler?
I know that, yeah.
Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses' brother. So I was already kind of touring with Bone at this time. I was okay. See, when you're a part of Bone, you're a huge Bone artist. You're not a huge rap artist. You're huge. It's like Tech Nine. Tech Nine is not sitting. Yeah, Tech Nine is not sitting on a nigga on 9th Ave and so and so. You know what I mean? But when you're talking about global, and I remember getting my first check for $1 million off this I Can't Stop song.
Really?
The check exactly was like $9.92. I was always that guy that if you heard me, Naeem, who ran MCA, Naeem, who signed Shay Shice, remember This Is Where I Want. I'm on 3 songs on that album. And there was a song called Stop. And Naeem literally stopped the song with the Miz sitting there and he said, who is this? He was like, you got to play this for Dre. Next day, they go to Dre's house. Demiza tells a story from the book, and he plays the song for Dre. And Dre's like, yo, this that Crip nigga we're all hearing about? And he goes, and he just started working with Nocturnal. Me and Nocturnal just did a song called Hard in the Paint.
What happened to Nocturnal?
Alcohol. That's all I can say. And Dre hears this song, and he stops the beat. Same thing Naeem did. He goes, is this a front or this is for real? Is he really like this? And DeMizza went, no, he's really like this. He goes, his career will never work. See, to be a Crip, but an industry Crip. Oh no, we could. Your blood? Oh my nigga, we could. Nigga, let's get this money.
You wouldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I'm not saying this to sound tough.
Yeah, it just wasn't. Yeah.
I have one song where I say, only booyah truce with, make money with, twist heads with. I'm the ultimate Crip. When you put two bangers in a room, tell me what you get. Funkified riders, I pull up right beside you. Don't you want to be like us, but you can't, because you're a bust. And I was just, no, I'm not letting you. Yeah, I knew gangbanging. And it would make me feel like I had no testicles if I just went, oh, man, yeah, nigga, you. Because you wasn't about to sit around and say, I made Tech Nine put his hand down when they went to take a picture like this with me. Don't do that, bro. There's only one gangbanger in this picture. Put your hand down. That's how ignorant I was.
And he wasn't even doing the gangs then.
Oh, no, he was. They're from Kansas. They're from Kansas. They're Bloods out there. Yeah.
Oh, he's a Blood?
Yeah. Cut out Calhoun, and yeah, it's safe out there. See, when you tell me that you a gangbanger, how many pictures? I've sent you a lot of pictures of some real reputable niggas.
Oh, yeah.
Enough said. So to answer your question on my long drawn out story, I was as big as I allowed my the Akon joint.
Hey dog, you gotta you're that's you did a song with Slash got $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, here's rappers that if they walked into Fox Hills Mall, everyone would go fucking crazy because they're the biggest thing going, and they ain't never seen $96,000.
No, niggas couldn't sell out a bathroom. But for me, I became best friends with lawyers. Brad Sandler, to this day, is still my lawyer. Brad Sandler was Quick's attorney, IC's attorney, Nate Dogg's attorney, Tony Lane's attorney, Stan Shepard's attorney, Big Red's attorney. And my thing was, he would say the story this way. Well, you could do the deal for this and get this out of it, or you could do the deal this way and you'll continually get this. And I was that guy. Like, trust me, I'm not the only dude that owns catalog that gets 4 checks a month.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? I live a very frugal, I'm probably the cheapest, most frugal person you ever meet. Downtown LA, these were ordered through my man, the shoes you saw earlier. Other than that, I ordered my tennis shoes off eBay for $8. I've got motorcycles probably worth $100,000. I drive a 1999 anniversary
You can
edition.
also, if just say times got tight, you can slang that motorcycle, get some money. You can't take no $900 shoes and turn them into $900.
Or how about I could sell 10, 16 Tupac songs to Molly Mall for $750,000 and then sell the year-to-date catalog that belonged to Interscope for $1.3 million.
Let's end with these two things. Just say, however you want to say it, whatever you want to leave out, you got Tupac's control of some of Tupac's masters, and what your business strategy is, what you've been doing with them, how you choose to release and where you put